Welcome to the Behind the Science podcast kung saan kakausapin natin ang ating mga scientists para ibahagi hindi lang ang mga resulta ng kanilang pag-aaral, kundi pati na rin ang mga behind the scenes or behind the science stories nito. Ang podcast na ito ay in partnership with the University of the Philippines Resilience Institute. Ako si Drew, bagong host ng Behind the Science podcast, and today we have our guest, Dr. Raquel Felix. Si Dr. Raquel Felix is a postdoctoral research fellow in the Coastal Lab at the Earth Observatory of Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. She completed her PhD in 2023 at NTU within the Asian Institute of the Environment, and her research focuses on tsunami hazard assessment through modeling and the development of user-friendly applications for tsunami modeling. Dr. Felix holds a bachelor's and a master's in geology from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. During her master's studies, she worked as a science research specialist in the Nationwide Operational Assessment of Hazards Project, or Project NOAA, at the University of the Philippines, Diliman.
Yes.
So, Dr. Felix, when did you realize that you wanted to work in the science sector?
Siguro nung nagsisimula na akong mag-work sa Project NOAA kasi may nag-open opportunity like a week before graduation ng undergrad. So, nag-open yon. So, hindi ko pa rin actually alam kung anong next for me. So, syempre, while waiting for the board exam that time, so parang ideal siya na mag-work within UP, within the institute. So, parang convenient-wise, right? So, yun, na-enjoy ko yung work and doon ko na-realize na gusto ko yung research side ng science. Yeah, so, doon. I think doon. Pero wala naman talagang in just a snap. Like, gusto ko sa science sector. So, I think gradually, doon ko nalaman kung ano ba talaga gusto ko at hindi. Yeah.
So, paano po kayo nag-decide na gusto nyo i-pursue yung masters, ganyan, and then, paano kayo nag-decide na gusto nyo i-pursue yung PhD sa Singapore?
Okay. Parang, hindi to motivational actually. So, nag-work ako sa UP Project NOAA, right? Tapos yung mga kasama ko rin, mga kasabayan ko rin graduate, so mga magkakabatch. So, sila actually ang naunang may interest na mag-masters. Ako wala talagang plano. So, parang peer pressure lang na lahat nagma-masters. Like, sige na, Rocky, apply tayo masters. So, a day before the deadline, nag-apply ako for masters. So, since ayun nga, yung parang convenience, okay, nag-work na rin naman ako dito, might as well na mag-study. Lahat rin naman kami doon ay nagma-master. So, enjoy siya. So, yun, peer pressure, I guess. Masters.
Peer pressure, hindi ba talaga nagagawa?
Iba. Buti this time, in a good way, yung influence ng peer pressure. And for PhD, hindi ko naman talaga planong mag-PhD. So, hindi ko lang alam anong gagawin. Like you, hindi ko rin alam after, anong next after masters, di ba? So, ako, nag-send lang ako ng emails everywhere. It's more of inquiring for a job position. Tapos, sa Earth Observatory of Singapore, hindi ko alam kung paano ko nalaman yung EOS. So, pumunta ako sa webpage nila, tapos sa professors. Tapos, nakita ko yung si Judith Hubbard na structural geology. Kasi yung masters ko ay based sa structural geology. So, siya yung kinontak ko. Walang job announcement, job opening or what. Wala. Palakasan ng lang loob, I guess. So, RA inquiry. Nagpakilala ko na patapos na ako ng masters, ito yung background ko, ito yung study ko. Tapos, ito yung CV ko. Tapos, kung I'm interested to work with you, ganyan. So, no expectation actually, kasi hindi naman niya ako kilala. So, ayun, after a while, nag-reply siya. Tapos sinabi niya na walang available job opportunity that time, pero interested siya sa background ko. So kung interested ako, why not? Since walang RA job opening, pero merong PhD opportunity. Sabi niya, it's longer. So, RA job, usually 2 years contract. Tapos yung PhD, it's 5 years during that time. So, ako naman, parang 5 years is kind of good thing for me that time in the sense na at least I know what I'm gonna do in the next 5 years. So, I said, okay, why not? Why not? I'm just gonna apply for this PhD. Yeah, so nag-apply ako sa university and then the scholarship. So, ayun, nag-PhD. Doon ko na ko yung PhD.
Yung sa PhD niyo po ba, was it like a scholarship or paid position lang siya na ano?
It's a scholarship. So, scholarship siya under the university, Nanyang Technological University, with additional scholarship money from the Institute na Earth Observatory of Singapore.
Tapos, paano niyo po nakapag-decide dun sa topic niyo? Like, bakit po ang pinili niyo is tsunami modeling, ganyan?
Honestly, yun yung project na available that time under my professor. But since, tsunami, most of the tsunamis are generated by earthquakes. And then, ang background ko naman ay geology, structural geology. So, I think it just makes sense na pumunta tayo sa other side of the earthquake studies. So, pumunta na ako sa tsunami. Which is, I'm fine with it because I like that research area as well, research field. So, ayun.
So, yung paper niyo po na pag-uusapan natin today is entitled Tsunami Hazard in Lombok and Bali, Indonesia due to the Flores Back Arc Thrust. So, ma'am, explain your paper in one sentence.
Okay. One sentence. So, okay, position muna natin. Ito yung Bali Island. Ito yung Lombok Island. So, kapag nagkaroon ng earthquake, underwater earthquake in between yung island na yon, anong mangyayari pag nagka-earthquake? Mag-generate ba yun ng tsunami? At paano ito makaka-apekto sa dalawang isla na nakapaligid sa kanya? So, yun ang main coverage ng research paper na yun.
So, bakit po yung area na yun yung naging sites niyo? Like, bakit niyo po siya pinili?
Kasi during that time, yung sa department namin, may mga scientists na nag-aaral ng earthquake na recently na nangyari sa area na yon na source sa Flores Thrust. So, ito yung Lombok Island, di ba? So, may mga earthquakes na nangyari dito, which is like, for a long time, walang earthquake doon. So, because of the series of earthquakes in 2018, so, mas na-update tayo sa anong fault geometry sa fault na yon. So, since may updated fault geometry in that area, plus the fact na nagkaroon ng local tsunami sa Lombok Island, nagkaroon ng other questions. So, yung fault na yun, hindi naman yun natapos lang sa isla ng Lombok eh. So, tuloy-tuloy yan sa traversing yung body of water and then yung Bali. So, ang question naman, what if yung earthquake mangyari dito sa water side? Yung rupture sa underwater, hindi lang dito. Eh kung dito nga sa Lombok Island na most ng earthquake nangyari sa ilalim ng isla, nagkaroon ng local tsunami. So what more kung nagkaroon ka ng earthquake na most of the fault line ay nasa ilalim ng tubig. So most likely makakaroon niya ng tsunami. So ayun, kaya pinasok nila ako sa research, sinama nila ako sa research na yon kasi ako yung that time the only tsunami modeling PhD student. So ako na nag-answer noon and nag-build up ng structure ng paper.
So, ano po yung results, yung naging results po ng study nyo, nung tinignan nyo po yung impact or yung generative capacity ng fault line dun sa offshore area?
Ang result namin, so ang focus nun, so para mas ma-narrow down, hindi lang Bali, Lombok. Kasi yung capital cities nun, ng both islands ay nasa coastal side. So ito yung Lombok, 'di ba? Nandito yung capital city na Mataram, and then Denpasar dito. So ang nalaman namin na ito yung fault, 'di ba? Mas matataas yung tsunami na darating dito sa Lombok at mas mabilis yung arrival ng first wave tsunami compared sa capital city ng Bali. So dito, in 10 minutes after ng pagyanig, makikita mo na 2.7 meter high tsunami. Pero dito sa Bali, mga after half an hour bago dumating yung first wave ng tsunami. And yung height niya is around, sa worst case scenario sa paper namin is around 1.4 meters. I-compare mo sa 2.7 meter high dun sa kabila, sa Lombok Island. So again, sa Lombok Island, faster and higher waves. And then dito sa Bali Island, a bit later, tsunami wave arrival and a bit lower wave heights. So yun ang main takeaways ng paper.
So maikli lang po pala talaga yung time between the earthquake, if ever, and yung pagdating ng tsunami dun sa area, no? So
yes, yun ang worry kasi less time para mag-wait ka ng evacuation announcement from your local government. Plus, yung evacuation itself, di ba? Hindi naman basta-basta yon. So, another implication ng resulta namin is that kailangan talaga ng earthquake and tsunami awareness sa, let's say, barangay level, sa village level, para at least kahit wala pang announcement from the government, at least pag naramdaman mo na yumanig yung lupa kung nasaan ka, magiging aware ka na sa surroundings mo, especially kung nakatira ka sa coastal area. So parang mabilis na lang yung pick up na, okay, maybe it's time to go or not. Yan.
So very important din po pala talaga yung parang communication with the communities in these types of research, no?
Yes. Any hazard, I think, kasi parang let's say, ang dami nating science na ginagawa, tapos, paano naman yung mga people na kailangan talagang malaman about this hazard. So, dapat talaga bigyan sila ng awareness. It's just not the science or just among the scientists. Diba?
So, maganda rin talaga siyang i-apply lalo na sa Pilipinas and other like island countries na similar.
Sa Pacific Ring of Fire, mga tectonics. Yes. Active tectonics.
Yung research niyo po, paano po siya na-fund? So kasama na po ba yan sa scholarship or did you have to write proposals for additional funding, ganyan? Nope.
Hello.
Sorry, may cat.
Kasama na siya sa funding ko, sa scholarship ko. So before pumunta ako dito, when I was applying for PhD sa scholarship, kailangan mo magsulat ng project proposal. Pero, ayun, to answer your question, no, it's already included sa scholarship funding.
Nag-fieldwork pa po ba kayo or purely computational talaga yung naging study?
Yes, sa akin, walang fieldwork. Everything is numerical modeling.
So, dun sa numerical modeling na ginawa ninyo, ano po yung mga challenges na na-experience nyo while doing the research?
Siguro, ang challenges nun is first time kong matutong tsunami modeling. So, everything is a steep learning curve because I'm learning yung numerical modeling, paano mag-tsunami. Tapos, kailangan ko rin malaman paano mag-coding. Kasi para ma-process mo yung result from the numerical modeling, kailangan kong gamitin yung MATLAB code na para ma-generate ko yung mga mapa, pati yung virtual gauge records. So yun, I think ayun yung pinaka-challenge, the technical side of things. And then, by practice, mas na-enhance yung skill ko, mag-numerical modeling. But of course, it caused delay naman sa pag-turn out ng result.
Nag-try po ba kayo ng mga, kasi di ba yung MATLAB, paid siya na application, ArcGIS din paid application. Kaya siyang i-apply using open source applications such as QGIS o kaya or Python, ganyan.
Kasi yung specific na model na ginagamit ko, yung pag-process ng mga mapa, ang code ay based on MATLAB. But I think you can make your own code if you like sa other open source coding. But otherwise, kung pwede mo generate yung some files sa MATLAB, tapos laruin mo sa QGIS, pwede naman yun. But for this one, kailangan ng MATLAB talaga.
During your research din po ba parang may na-experience kayo ng mga personal challenges, ganyan, during your PhD, living in another country, ayun. So, parang may mga ganun po ba na challenges doing your PhD abroad?
I'm fortunate enough na may mga friends kasi ako dito, even outside my department. So, I have life outside my research. So, generally, I think I'm okay. But maybe there are some points, of course, in my first year na syempre kapapa kung saan mag-click na grupo, di ba? But since Singapore is somehow similar sa Pilipinas in the sense na yung weather, yung food, Asian food, ganyan, okay ako doon as long as may rice and all, di ba? So, I think it's not really a big adjustment, and the fact that malapit ang Singapore sa Pilipinas, siguro it's also a good advantage. So if ever I really feel na down ako, na super down, so I know that madali lang umuwi.
So nakaka-uwi pa kayo?
Oo. May naman, mga leave naman. And travel around Southeast Asia, ganyan. Pero yun, fortunate lang talaga na in terms of personal struggles, okay naman ako kasi may social life. So, social life. Kailangan naman ng social life.
Important talaga the balance between parang work-life balance talaga, no?
Oo, totoo yan. Kailangan ng work-life balance.
Ano po yung mga memorable experiences nyo while doing your research? So, the good, yung mga gandang experiences, the bad, and the ugly.
Good part ng research, I think marami akong natutunan kasi tsunami is new to me, numerical modeling, coding is also new. Good thing lang ba about the research or about PhD life in general?
PhD in life in general.
Kasi sa tingin ko, okay rin yung mga kabatch ko. So, 7 kaming batchmate na PhD students. And then, it's nice na pag nag-uusap kami, kung nahirapan kami, sabi lang namin na, slow day ngayon, or, walang good result this time, na everyone is on the same boat. Walang pataasan ng ihi. So, parang may comfort from each other. So, it's nice to hear na hindi ka lang nag-iisa, di ba? Hindi lahat nag-aano lang. Nagpre-pretend na, I'm really good. Ganyan, I'm the best. So, maganda yung may cohort ka rin na okay. So, I think that's a good thing. And good thing also, yung professors na mga naka-work ko, plus the postdocs, are really supportive. Really supportive. So, I think it's really a big factor. So, yung bad times, for me the good times are mas marami compared sa bad times. Kasi I really have a good support system here sa research. So, ayun. Bad times in the sense na ang hirap mag-aral ng coding and numerical modeling na parang nakaka-intimidate kasi parang first time ko talagang ako lang kailangan ko mag-self-study rin. Syempre, hindi enough yung nag-aral ako ng coding dito. Nag-sit-in lang with the undergraduate students dito. Tapos parang sila, parang nadadalian lang sila. Parang, ikaw, lost na lost ka. So, ayun siguro yung bad times na steep learning curve talaga. Kailangan lang tiyaga. And ugly, I would say ugly. Maybe bad na lang din. Bad kapag for this paper, nung may criticism lang, kapag syempre pag may kang criticism about your paper, nung almost patapos na kami sa paper, merong strong criticism about our work, pero I have to remind myself na 5 other scientists supported this result, yung pag-set up ng science and all. Pero of course, a part of you, like, maapektuhan ka na, mali nga ba o hindi? Pero kailangan, i-ano mo lang yung mindset mo na, no, all throughout the steps anyway, meron pang 4 or 5 scientists behind you na nag-work with you. So, I should believe more on myself and on our science na yung research namin ay strong. Ayun.
Bakit po may mga criticisms? Like, dahil ba modeling, project siya na you really have to parang confirm or find like confirmation on your models, or
I think it's just a matter of the question about the methods. Of course, different scientists have their own preference ng methodology. So, ayun, siguro maapektuhan ka lang sa criticism kapag parang strongly worded yung criticism, di ba? Tapos lalo kung PhD student, estudyante ka pa lang. So, parang mas madali kang maapektuhan. Pero again, good support system really helps na to get over that feeling na you're not good enough. Ayan. Ayun.
At what point did you realize po na yung results nyo were sufficient for publication?
Siguro nung meron kaming different scenarios na from worst case scenario, tapos basta may 6 na scenarios kami na from the least, yung weakest earthquake na pwede namin ilagay sa fault. Basta yung range na ginamit namin. So meron kaming range na ginamit na we think that it's enough na to cover to have a good story already. May result na from worst case scenario and then a bit weaker earthquake magnitude. So parang may range. Tapos solid yung explanation, bakit itong fault na ito, bakit, basta lahat ng logic na sagot na. So, bakit ganitong method? Bakit kailangan i-study yung area na to? So, lahat solid na. And conclusion-wise, at implication na sinabi ko nga kanina na, okay, may arrival time na tayo, may maximum wave height, tapos i-relate mo na sa reality na evacuation time and all. So, yeah. Ayun, doon namin nalaman na solid na. Pwede nang isubmit for publication.
Mga gano'ng katagal po kayo na nagsulat, or parang yung timeline from starting the modeling to actually submitting it for publication?
Nag-overlap kasi yung mga bagay siguro, I would say at least 1.5 to 2 years. Let's just say 2 years. Yes. Hindi ko maalala masyado kasi nga, pag natapos mo na dito, kailangan may gawin mo na rin yung other project para limited lang yung time ng PhD. So, kailangan overlap. Ayun.
So, may mga plans na po ba kayo moving forward with this research? May mga future research na po ba na nakapila for you?
Oh, yes. So, for this specific research about Bali and Lombok tsunami hazard, right now, it's good as it is, unless sinabi nga namin na if ever may bago na naman tayo nalaman about sa fault geometry or may new updates sa bathymetry dataset sa area, kailangan i-update yung tsunami hazard assessment as well, di ba? Pero so far, okay, dyan muna yan. Tapos ngayon, waiting for review sa other paper ko from my thesis. So, it's more on how yung different resolution ng dataset, ng bathymetry dataset mo. So, yung mga pixel, kung anong pixel resolution ba ang optimal in the sense na accurate plus efficient siya sa pag-computer modeling. Anong efficient resolution ang pwede mong gamitin kung wala kang 5-meter resolution dataset? Anong resolution ba? So, 10 to 50 meter resolution is good enough na magkaroon ka ng, para sa numerical modeling mo, na ang resulta mo ay very similar kung iraran mo yung tsunami model mo using a 5-meter resolution data. So, yon, in review siya ngayon sa Geoscience Letter. Tapos, may other paper rin kami tungkol sa tsunami hazard somewhere in the Philippines. Ayaw mo na sabihin hanggat hindi siya ba.
Sige po.
Basta, Manila Trench earthquake ang source namin. And at the same time, i-release na rin namin yung dinevelop kong user-friendly application na pwede mong gamitin sa numerical pag-model ng tsunami using this particular modeling called FunWave. So this time, MATLAB-based tong application na ginagawa ko. Pero hindi mo kailangan na lisensya ng MATLAB. Anyone can use it. So open source. So download mo lang online, tapos input yung parameters, pwede mong i-run na yung tsunami model mo, and there's another, so two application. I-run mo yung tsunami model mo, and then the other one is to i-process mo yung results ng model. So click-click lang para quick result. Because ang motivation ng application na yan is, as I told you, ang hirap mag-aral ng coding.
Yes. True. Very. Lalo na from zero.
Diba? Oh. Ang hirap. Ang hirap. Tapos kailangan kumip up. So, ayun ang motivation. Bakit walang madaling way na mag-modeling? So, ayun. So, 2 papers. Pero yung isa, hopefully, this time, ma-accept na siya about bathymetry, resolution, and next one is about a mixture of tsunami hazard assessment sa Philippines, somewhere in the Philippines, plus yung applications na ginawa ko. So, 2-in-1.
Sobrang magiging helpful yung open source applications talaga, especially for researchers in the Philippines with very limited budget, no?
Yes, and actually anywhere, I think sa scientific community, meron ng awareness na dapat gawing open source sa mga bagay-bagay. So, I think nadadirect na. So, hopefully, mas ma-widen na yung ganong idea na kailangan lahat open. Pati, di ba, pag magbabasa ka, maghanap ka ng published paper, kailangan na lisensya.
Yes.
Nag-masters ka sa UP, kailangan mo no comment. Basta maraming kailangan papers na basahin, tapos syempre mahirap pag walang lisensya. So yun.
Kung nakita niyo po yung parang I think post yan sa Facebook. I mean, pinost siya sa Facebook na parang the inaccessibility of science. Tapos yung paper na yun, hidden siya behind the paywall. So sobrang wala lang, sobrang funny lang na.
Ironic.
Sobrang
Very ironic, diba? Very ironic. Kasi actually, kahit for the kunyari magsasabi, gusto ko yung paper ko open source. Mas mahal yung babayaran mo compared kung it's behind the paywall. So, kailangan talaga may budget yung university nyo para dun ka na sa open source para mas marami rin maka-access ng paper mo, di ba? Pero yun, it's just ironic na it comes with a cost talaga. Kahit
actually, ngayon ko lang nalaman. Ganyan pala.
Ayun.
Mas mahal.
Oh.
Grabe.
Ayun.
Okay. Ang hirap mag-deliver ng science sa masses.
Mahirap, oo.
Publications talaga.
Oo, publications.
Ngayon po, what is your advice to aspiring researchers or future researchers that want to enter the field? Your field or other fields of science? Ganyan.
Siguro dapat buo loob mo, tsaka hindi ka. Firstly, kung gusto mo mag-apply to things, try mo lang, mag-submit ka ng application. So, ayun, Drew, submit ka. Honestly, just pag kapag may nakita kang opportunity, mag-submit ka lang ng applications or kahit wala ka nakitang job opportunity, mag-send ka lang ng email. You'll never know na actually, lalo kung sa academia, sa academia lang, yung side na alam ko na, you'll never know na yung professor na minessage mo, nagsusulat na pala ng project funding sa ganitong field or may nakuha na siyang funding, hindi pa lang siya nagpo-post, pero nakuha na yung money at nag-iisip na siya na mag-hire siya ng ganitong mga ng RA, ng PhD student, ng postdoc. So maganda na minsan yung mag-send out ka. Kasi minsan magre-reply sila na actually meron akong incoming project na pwede ka mag-apply. So kung hindi mag-reply, hindi okay, tinry mo lang. So yun, basta always just try. At kung nasa research field ka naman, it's okay na hindi naman laging nasa high lahat okay, di ba? So okay lang to be sad, I guess. Okay lang ma-down, pero just make sure you know na paano ano mo rin, tumayo ulit quickly. Ayun lang. And have a good surround yourself with good people, good friends, good support system. Ayun ang pinaka-importante. I think lalo kung sa ibang bansa ka, it's really good to have a very good support system, especially also outside your department. Ayan. Like work-life balance, basically.
So, ma'am, before I let you go, do you have anything to promote?
Wala, but yun nga yung hopefully yung paper ko na sinubmit sa Geoscience Letter about bathymetry resolution in relation to tsunami modeling will be published, and then malabas na rin, masubmit ko na rin for review yung other second paper about earthquake from Manila Trench na meron applications. Kasi sulat na yung paper, kailangan lang i-debug yung code. So, yes. So, yeah, watch out na lang.
So, if ever sobrang gandang resource nung paper na yun, especially for people living on this side of the Philippines.
Yes, I hope, ayun ang goal. Sana maging useful kasi ayun naman ang ayun ang main goal na dapat yung science mo, well, for me, yung science ay maging useful to a lot of people, especially yung mga nangangailangan talaga is not just ako lang at saka yung mga tsunami people, science, yun nga, tsunami modeling community. So, paano mo ma-encourage yung new scientists na pumunta sa tsunami modeling kung ang hirap pala. Ang hirap palang malaman yung basic ng pagmamodel and all.
So, thank you, ma'am, for na pinaunlakan niyo kami at maraming salamat sa very productive na discussion.
Ayun, thank you, Drew.